Now let us do one more thing. Let's go to IAM. We understood users and user groups. What is a role then? See here, you will see roles. What are these roles? Policies, I told you, policies are nothing but permissions. They'll be in the form of JSON. See here, if you go to policies, these are all AWS managed services, means they were all created by default by AWS. You can also create your own policy. That's called a inline policy. See, you can create your own policy as well with what permissions. See, JSON, you want to see this way, means from the drop downs you can choose which services and you can create, or else you can see it in the JSON format. See here, allow means allowing permissions. What resources you want to allow, you can choose this way. That's how you can also create your own policies. Okay, here we were using the managed policies, right? So that's how we have created groups. Similarly, there are something called roles. What are roles? See, there is a user. You want to assign the permissions. What you will do, you will directly assign the permissions, or else you will create a group, add those permissions there. But let's suppose one AWS services need permissions to other AWS services. How can we do that? Means, for example, okay, there is an EC2 instance. This EC2 instance should download something from S3. Is it possible? Can EC2 instance have permissions to S3? Yeah. Is it possible? How to achieve it? Let me show you. Let's take the same instance. Let's say I'm having this instance. Okay. I'm having this EC2 instance. Let's connect to this. Or else I have already connected, right? Let me go back. Or else let's connect back again. Okay. Okay. Public EC2, right? I've copied this one. It's just hanged. Why is it taking so long? Okay. It's fine now. So this is the EC2 instance. Let's suppose, let me just close this. Okay. So now from here, can we download anything from S3? What is S3, by the way? See, S3 is nothing but storage, simple storage service of AWS. Means we can upload some files or something like that into S3. What is S3? We'll learn it separately. Just imagine it will have some buckets. Buckets are like folders. Okay. S3. from this S3, suppose, let's say I just want to download something from a bucket. See, there were so many buckets. Let's say, what is this having? Yeah, see, some zip file is there. Let's suppose now I want to download something from here. Okay, you can select it. You can use download option if you have. I think this is a root user. From here you can download. From CLI, from here, I want to download it on that particular EC2 instance, right? So how is that possible? Yeah, we can use AWS CLI commands. AWS CLI, through AWS CLI, you can do that, which is AWS S3. Okay. And if you want to download something, again, let's say CP, sorry, CP S3, name of the S3, this one, sample bucket one, sample bucket one / index.zip. And you want to copy it as the same, let's say index.zip, right? Unable to locate the credentials, right? It is like it needs the credentials. Always giving the credentials will not be possible, because here if I give this particular credentials, if I do AWS configure and if I give that access key secret key, it will work. You should give access key secret key of which user? Of the user which has got this S3 permissions. Means, see, go to users. I may give root user access key secret key, it will work. Or else for this particular demo user, because he has got S3 permissions, right? What I can do, go here and give here, create here access key secret. If you give them, it will work. But it's not that you will always provide that access key and secret key, right? So there is another way, like EC2 should have permissions to S3, means you can create a role. Okay, role to this EC2. Create a role. Role to whom you want to create? You want to create a role for EC2, right? You want to create a role for EC2. Next, and what permissions this role should have? S3 full, correct? Next, create the role. Give the name, like let's say my role. Okay, I'm giving the name as my role. See, this is how this is the permission added. Do you see that? Allow. It's allowing permissions. It's a creating role. Now what you have to do, you have to attach this role to this instance. This is the instance. How do you attach the role actually? Whenever you create instance, you can attach the role this way. Whenever you create the instance, okay, here if you go to advanced, here instance profile, here you have to choose the role. That's one way you create the role when you create instance, or else already instance is there. You can also attach the role now. Select the instance, go to actions, networking, instance settings. There should be an option. Instance screenshot, manage detailed monitoring. This is all about monitoring. Create image, security. Yeah, modify the IAM role. Do you see that under security? Go here. It's not having any role. Now attach this my role. Update the role. Okay, now EC2 has got the role which we can do anything with S3. Now, if you try to download without giving the credentials, see, do you see that it is downloaded? Got the point, all of you? What role does? Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
This is the way you can do. Or else what you can do, I'm again detaching it. Go to security, modify the role. I'll remove the role. No IAM role. Okay. Update the role. Detach. I'm removing the role to this instance. Role is there. I'm just detaching it. Okay. Role is still there. Here you still have the role. Now if you try to download again. Okay. Let me remove this first. Okay. There is no index file. Now if you download, if you try to download, see, got it everyone, the importance of role. Otherwise, what you should do, you should create a user. Okay, means let's suppose some in the organization, someone came and said they need some permissions. Okay, means let's say their EC2 instance has to do something with EKS. Right, what you have to do, you have to create a user for him, create a security credentials for him, share them. Or else what you can do, you can create a role and assign the role to EC2, which is better.
Assigning role.
Assigning the role, or else like user credentials, if you provide, I have root user, I have those access key, secret key, you can provide them, it can download. Or else, let's say there is a user, create security credentials for him, add the permissions of S3 to him. Okay, this is another way. Permission is there. Create the security credentials also. This is difficult, right? Sharing the credentials, this is not always secure. Create access key, secret key. This one I have shown you in the beginning. Sharing those credentials, always creating multiple users, download this, done. Not only root user is access key, secret key, any user's access key, secret key you can use, but that user should have those S3 permissions. Am I making sense? Demo user is having this, so I can use demo user credentials. Anyway, root user will have all, you can use root, but using root user credentials is always very bad practice. I have removed the role. Now, through access key, secret key also you can do that. AWS configure. Because this user, these are demo user credentials. Demo user has got S3 permissions. So he can do that. Done. Now he can again download. Do you see that? Understood. Always prefer roles when a particular service needs some other service permissions, rather than creating a separate user, giving him that permissions, then creating access key, secret key, then sharing those access key, secret key with those users. Rather than this, you create a role. That's about the role. Right? Roles, policies, users, user groups. These are the ones you should know. Right? And when we are creating auto scaling also for EKS needs permissions on this EC2 instance because it has to scale up and scale down, right? Means EKS is one service, EC2 is another service. EKS should have permissions on EC2. There also will create a role. That's the reason I'm taking this topic before. Right? So these are some of the AWS services. With this, we can get started with Terraform. Once we start Terraform, we will look into S3, like how to create S3 and all, DynamoDB. Then we will also talk about other services are there for pipeline. That's a different part. So these are good to get started with Terraform. Any more questions in this part?
Ma'am, in first example, you showed the group creation inside policies are there. Even in the second example, you are creating roles under that, again, policies are there. So what is the difference, ma'am? Groups and
Role
roles?
will be attached to another service.
Correct.
Policies will be attached to users. You cannot attach policies directly to user. That's why, to services. That's why we are creating roles.
Oh,
See,
okay. For
my
services, you are
EC2
going with some.
my EC2
Yeah.
instance has to download something from S3. Can I add permissions to EC2?
When you added that user, you added EC2 and S3, two policies you already added in that group.
My question is, can I add permissions to EC2 service directly?
I'm just thinking, ma'am.
See, there is a service like EC2. EC2 has to download from S3. So means EC2 should have permissions on S3. It should have S3 permissions, right? S3 full permissions should be there. But how do you add permissions to EC2? You cannot add permissions to EC2 is a service. You cannot add permissions to any service directly. So what we are doing, we are creating a role. We are creating a role which will have that S3 permissions. Then assigning this role to EC2. That's what we did.
Yeah, got it.
Right? If it is user, we can create permissions directly to the user. That's what I have shown you both the ways. This EC2 instance, for this I have attached the role. Later on, I removed the role. Another way is I created a user called demo user. For that demo user,
you gave two. Yeah,
I gave S3 permission.
That is, yeah.
S3 full is there. So I created security credentials for him. Then user this security credentials he can download. This is one way. Another way is through the role.
Yeah. Got it. Understood.
Yeah.
To user, we can assign both role and permission, but to service, we can assign only role, right?
Users, I'm consolidating roles. Okay. User, you can assign the permissions, not roles. Okay. You can add this user to the group also. What is a group? User means human user. Okay, let's say human. I don't have space here. Okay, human users. He will be assigned with permissions. You can add permissions directly or you can add groups to him. Then comes groups. What is a group?
Similar users, we can put it in that.
I already mentioned in the beginning, set of permissions, not set of users. Set of permissions. Okay, like EKS full or S3 full, not only full, whatever it is, S3 full or else EC2 only create permissions or list, whatever. It will have some group of permissions, set of permissions. Now role. Role is
Service related.
it is again set of permissions. You will assign this to another service. You assign this to a service. Right? This is assigned to human users. This is all user will have some permissions, but you cannot give permissions to a service. So you will add a role to the service. Right? So what did we do here? We created demo user. We gave some permissions like EC2 and directly we have given. Okay, but he doesn't have EKS. I can add EKS also, but what did I do? I added a group. Correct? I added demo group. Demo group is having EKS full. That's how he got EKS permission. Following EC2 S3 I have added directly because he's a user. He's a human. Then I need few more permissions. I can add them also directly. But to give an example, I have created a group which is having EKS full. I have given him. Right? That's one thing. Now this is having security. This user has got, I created security credentials. With this, if you give them, EC2 can download S3. Correct? If I provide those on AWS configure, EC2 can download or do anything with S3. That's one method. Another method is created a role called my role. This role I have added permissions. What permissions? S3 permissions. Now, even though you don't give security credentials, if you attach this role to EC2, it can download anything from S3. This is second method. And the best method is this method. Clear now? Users, roles, groups. You do the hands-on, it will be more clear. But you should get some clarity now. Understood?
Yes.
Everyone? Any questions from anyone here?
So to start with Terraform, we need to be aware of VPC, EC2, and IAM roles, ma'am. These three concepts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, what net gateway do in VPC? Net gateway. So it will connect public subnet to private subnet.
Internet. If you want internet connectivity or network flow in the private subnet, you will use NAT.
In public subnet.
Yes. NAT gateway will be created in the public subnet, and that will be added in the route of a private subnet.
Okay.
So that is all for today. Tomorrow we shall get started with Terraform, and in the due course, whenever we come across EKS again, we'll be creating EKS with Terraform also. During those sessions, I'll show you what to scale. Any more questions?
Ma'am, any Google documentation of VPC is there in Google Drive?
I don't think we have it. Because this is all no commands and all, right? We don't have any commands here. Only the last S3 command is there. We don't have any documentation. Just you can watch the recording and do it. Through the console, we did everything from the console.
One command you told AWS ST CPST. It means it will copy.
I'll place that command. Your bucket name and the destination where you want to copy.
So it can copy from the S3 bucket to the EC2.
Yes. All right then. We'll close here and we'll continue tomorrow. That's all from my end. Thank you all. Have a great day. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.